All right, guys, hello. Today I'm gonna share my thoughts on a super popular trend right now, the food combining diet. We're going to dive into the legit science behind it, or lack thereof, and find out what this trend is all about. Now, there's one popular 21-day reset going around by Kenzie Burke, a popular YouTuber, and in addition to digging into the science behind the food combining diet, I also watched a ton of what I eat in a day videos from those who are following this reset. We're gonna dive into some of those too. Now, as always, guys, before we dive into this video is for entertainment purposes only. It is not meant to be specific medical or nutrition advice for you. If you do need more information on anything we talk about, be sure to reach out to your medical provider immediately. All right, guys, so let's start off with what the heck is the food combining diet? Food combining is an emerging trend among especially influencers that focuses on combining certain food categories when you eat and not combining others. Now, the claims are that it's supposed to help decrease stress on the digestive process, improve digestive symptoms, and promote weight loss. We'll get into the rules in a bit, but basically it's saying that you shouldn't combine these different types of foods together and that our bodies essentially can't handle that. The conveyor belt analogy gets thrown around a lot, and it basically says that if one food is eaten and it's faster digesting than the food you ate before it, that it's just gonna kind of cause like a clog or a traffic jam in that conveyor belt. And it also basically says that our food's gonna rot in our stomachs. Now, food combining is tied to the Ayurvedic diet, which focuses on consuming whole foods based on your dominant dosha, which is kind of your dominant energy type, such as Vata, which is space and air, Pitta, which is fire and water, Kapha, I might be saying these wrong, is earth and water. And food combining also is similar to the Hay diet, which is named for its creator, physician William Howard Hay. And basically this separates food into three different groups: acidic, alkaline, and neutral. So the idea of eating certain foods together is not new. However, the food combining trend itself has boomed recently, and thanks to a lot of ties to a 2000 study which sampled men and women, and it basically states that varying a diet can lead to overconsumption of food. The diet claims that providing rules and guidance for how to consume foods in combination and how they impact our digestive system and weight loss, allowing those to be maximized. We'll see about that. Guys, there are so many rules in the food combining diet. I have a whole chart, which I can pop up right there for you guys, that I made. It's honestly so confusing.
You're supposed to combine proteins with veggies, starches with veggies, only eat fruit in the morning on an empty stomach, and you're not supposed to combine two kinds of proteins together or combine proteins with starches.
Okay, so let's get into it. What foods can be combined? So food combining separates food into three basic kind of categories. From there, you pick one food from each category with the exception of the above rules. Now, category A typically includes fresh fruits, nuts, seeds, dried fruit, starches, and animal proteins. Those are the category A categories. Category B typically includes non-starchy veggies and other foods that are considered neutral. Category C, well, this category kind of highlights some of the caveats or exceptions of the food combining rules. Basically, that fruit, yogurt, and granola parfait that you love, it's out of the question. Apparently, our bodies can't appropriately digest that. Or can they? Now let's dig into some of the myths about food combining.
It's just like a better way of eating and just like keeping your body healthy from the inside out.
And in her research, she talks about optimizing digestion and essentially how certain food groups digest better together. And so if you eat those together and your body ends up taking less energy to digest your food, it can then put that energy elsewhere into other places, like reducing fat in your body, helping clear up your skin, etc., etc.
Now, one of the biggest myths with food combining is that it actually improves our digestion. I won't lie, on a surface level, this should make sense, right? Like, giving our digestive system less to focus on should allow it to work more efficiently, right? Not quite. Like I said, the analogy of the GI system being like a conveyor belt and getting clogged when we eat some slow digesting foods followed by a faster digesting foods is just completely untrue. If you do any research on how our digestive system actually works, hello to my years on years on years of schooling to become a registered dietitian, you know this is not true. Our bodies do not have to switch gears for every new type of food that we digest. I won't get into specific details about enzymes or pH regulation. We'd literally be here all day. But basically, our digestive system is actually highly sophisticated. It's actually made to function all on its own, uniquely metabolizing all of the macronutrients and the micronutrients that our bodies need. We are quite literally made to eat a combination of nutrients. That's what our bodies require, a variety of foods, a variety of those macro and micronutrients, all of the food types. I will say that everyone is totally different and that someone might not feel so great eating a certain type of food. You do you, but what I'm saying is that it's not because our bodies aren't made to digest carbs with protein. Myth number 2 is that food combining is going to help you lose weight. Now, there is only one study to my knowledge that discusses this myth. So participants in this study that I'm talking about were given very low calorie diets, either a food combining or just a balanced variety of foods, right? This study proved that there was no significant difference in weight loss between the two groups. Honestly, I think one of the reasons that people do this diet is because it makes eating so freaking complicated that it's just easier to not. Now, I watched a lot, like I said, of different food combining full days of eatings, and they're all for the most part very low calorie, and I don't say that in a good way. Therefore, some probably do see some short-term weight loss with this. But again, it's not because of the combination of the foods that you're eating, it's likely because you're eating less food due to the constant food fear of getting food combining wrong. Furthermore, on the point of weight, I don't advocate for intentional weight loss. If you follow me at all, you know that. And we know, thanks to the HAES movement, Health at Every Size, that health promoting behaviors, not weight itself, are what can help to decrease mortality and disease risk. I have a whole video on the set point weight theory which explains kind of more about this and how our bodies actually are able to naturally regulate our weight. So I can link to that up there so you can watch that. You might be skeptical. I understand. Now, myth number 3 is that fruit is best consumed only alone, ideally on an empty stomach. Okay, let's just get straight to the point. There is zero reason you can't have fruit with other food. We'll talk about this more in a second, but there are actually so many reasons why you actually want to pair fruit with other foods in order to actually better absorb the nutrients that those fruits are loaded with. This was the breakfast that they had, and honestly, if I ate this for breakfast, I'd probably not be satisfied for very long. One piece of gentle nutrition that I'm actually always suggesting people do is to have some protein with breakfast. This will help you to feel full and satisfied longer. Now, through the sports nutrition lens here, we know that simple carbohydrate consumption, think like applesauce or gummies or white refined starches like bread, pretzels, or cereal, those can actually be helpful to boost workouts when they're consumed prior and during workouts. This is quick energy. Though this is highly specialized depending on the type of training, like if you're doing strength versus cardio based, the timing of it, how many hours prior to working out, and the individual's gut tolerance, i.e. using simple versus complex carbs. So sure, if you are about to head to the gym and you want some quick energy, then yeah, focus on having some of those quick carbs. Now, we also know that consuming tart cherry juice a few days before and after training can boost physical recovery from stress from that training on our bodies, though this doesn't necessarily have to be done on its own. Myth number 4 about the food combining diet and food combining charts is that you should not consume fruits with nuts or seeds, especially. Now, actually, do the opposite of what the food combining chart says. Consuming fats like nuts with fruits that are actually high in fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K is helpful to improve that vitamin absorption. Those are fat-soluble vitamins. Now, this is one of the many reasons why trail mix tastes so good and why our bodies love it. Not only do we love that great sweet salty combo, but it actually can help us absorb some of the nutrients. Combo.
My lunch, I made the English muffin is toasted, and it is from the, I think it's called Food for Life. It's the Ezekiel like spread grain bread or English muffin, and then this one has roasted red pepper hummus with chili flakes, and then this side has just smashed avocado with salt, pepper, lemon juice, and then chili flakes as well. I like doing like 2 different things, one on each side of the English muffin, because I feel like it's just like not as boring, and I love both hummus and avocados.
Myth number 5 is that consuming starches and protein together is a no-no. We have a lot of evidence to support that this is just not true. We know that those with hormonal irregularities, think diabetes, PCOS, other hormone disorders, the type of carbohydrate, like simple versus complex, and combining that with protein and fat, those carbohydrate sources, can actually slow carbohydrate absorption, which is important to improving and stabilizing our blood sugar regulation. And we also know that carbohydrate and protein consumption following exercise is crucial to restoring our glycogen stores, so our energy stores, where we store energy in our bodies to grow muscles and to not inhibit performance. There is also importance of combining starches and protein for those following a plant-based dietary pattern. Now, recent findings have updated from the recommendation to eat complementary proteins in the same meal, and now say that instead a variety of plant-based proteins should be eaten consistently throughout the day. So many of the full days of eating, guys, speaking of protein, that I watched are very low in protein, which honestly was driving me nuts. And I feel like it's actually very strange for a diet, since most protein is almost always over-consumed on diets, and it's more of the carbs and the fat that are seen as kind of like the devil. Okay, so at this point, we've debunked a lot of the food combining myths here. And while we pretty much know that the diet is bogus itself, that doesn't mean that we should throw away different types of foods and how to pair them together. We want to keep that knowledge. Part of intuitive eating, what I teach in the society, is on actually understanding nutrition basics and what our bodies need. Really what it is it's marrying our internal knowledge, those cravings, desires, etc., with our external knowledge, like nutrition info, health knowledge, all of those sorts of things. It's marrying the two. So now let's go over some food pairings that actually can be helpful for you. Helpful food pairing number 1 is to actually combine carbs with fat and protein. This is actually going to help you stabilize your blood sugar, like I mentioned. Now, this goes for everyone, but like I mentioned, especially those with those hormonal irregularities like diabetes, PCOS, and other hormone disorders, the type of carbohydrate like the simple versus the complex, think white carbs versus whole grain, and combining those with the protein and the fat sources can actually help, like I said, to slow the carbohydrate absorption, which in turn is going to improve our blood sugar stabilization, not necessarily having those big spikes. So, example. If you're feeling kind of lackluster after your AM bagel, try adding a fried egg on top, maybe a few slices of avocado, and see how you feel after that. The fried egg is going to add some of that protein, and the avocado is going to add some of those healthy fats. Helpful pairing number 2. Add fats to fruits and veggies. This can actually help that nutrient absorption. So we know that consuming fat with fruits and vegetables, like I said, that have that high intake of fat-soluble vitamins, those are fat-soluble vitamins are A, D, E, and K, ADEC, are actually helpful to improving vitamin absorption. Now, this is one of the reasons that we eat salad dressing with our salad. Not only does it add flavor and satisfaction, but it actually can help us absorb those nutrients that we need from that veggie-packed salad. Helpful tip number 3 is pairing protein with vitamin C. Now this can be key. So when we consume collagen, which is a type of protein, collagen is a super hot topic right now too, with vitamin C, which can be found in fruits, it's important for actual synthesis of collagen in our bodies during times of illness or body composition for performance. Consuming vitamin C with iron, which is found in protein-rich foods like poultry, meat, and fish, can actually help with iron absorption. We also need iron to help with our oxygen distribution across our bodies, among so many other tasks. And additionally, like we already mentioned, adding protein and fat to carbohydrates, especially with those hormonal disorders such as diabetes, type 1 and 2, polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS, eating carbohydrates with fats and protein can be beneficial for that blood sugar regulation. Do I sound like a broken record about that now? Helpful tip number 4 is to actually eat carbs at most of your meals, not just pick and choose. Now, I say this because it's important for us to get adequate carbohydrates steadily throughout the day, not just once or twice. Now, carbs are our body's preferred energy source, and avoiding carbs at meals also is going to likely lead you to feel unsatisfied. This can be kind of explained like when you eat a giant plate of cauliflower rice, you likely wind up in the pantry looking for something to hit the spot. Your stomach is physically full maybe, but you're not satisfied. Instead, eat the carbs and the protein together. I promise it's not just gonna rot in your gut. All right, guys, so to summarize all of that, food combining, yes, is basically just BS, and it is not backed by science. I highly recommend developing a style of eating that is right for you, and that's also backed by that nutrition science with what our bodies need. Like I said, food freedom plus gentle nutrition, that inner knowledge, that outer knowledge, marrying them together is where it's at, and that's what I teach and preach. If you guys like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and hit the little bell to be notified every time a new video is uploaded. I upload them every week. And if you have any other diet trends you want me to debunk or any other topics you want me to cover, let me know. Drop a comment. All right, guys, I will see you next week.